Let me ask you something. Do you know what you want to do with your life? Not in a vague, I want to be happy and successful kind of way, but actually, specifically. If you do, you're one of the lucky ones. Stop listening, go do it. Good on you. If you don't, or you thought you did, and it turned out to be more complicated than that, then stick around. This one's for you. I've been wrestling with this question for most of my adult life. I've spoken to enough people to know I'm not alone in this. Smart people, talented people, people with really impressive careers and full lives who still lie awake at night wondering whether they're doing the right thing, whether there's something more aligned out there, whether the gap between what they're doing and what they're meant to be doing is something that can actually be closed. I think it can. And in this post, I want to walk you through the framework I used to figure out my own answer and to give you the tools to work through yours. The framework, 3 questions, 1 intersection. You've probably heard the saying, do what you love, and you'll never work another day in your life. It sounds great. It is also, on its own, pretty useless advice because most people love many things, and loving something doesn't automatically mean that you can build a livelihood around it. So we need to go a little bit deeper than that. The framework I used is to build around 3 questions. Number 1, what do you have a genuine competitive advantage in? Number 2, what are you passionate about? What really actually lights you up? And number 3, where can you create real value for others and be paid for it? The goal is to find where all 3 overlap, that intersection. When you find it, that's where you want to be. So let's work through each one. Question 1, what do you have a competitive advantage in? Notice I didn't ask, what are you good at? That's a different and easier question. Think of it this way. What are you good at that is both genuinely valuable and difficult for others to replicate? That's the bar. When you start thinking about it in that way, the list gets a lot shorter, but a lot more interesting. A real competitive advantage usually comes from a combination of things. Skills, yes, but also experience, network, reputation, how you communicate, and sometimes it's just timing. It's often a combination of these that's hard to copy, not any one single element. Your turn. Grab a piece of paper or open a notes app and write down every role you've had, every industry you've worked in, every skill you've developed, formal or informal. Then look at the combinations. What do you have that would be genuinely hard for someone else to assemble? Here's how I worked through it. Right? My career has taken 2 fairly distinct chapters so far. The first was at KPMG, one of the global Big 4 accounting firms, where I worked in auditing. That gave me something very underrated: the ability to read a business, understand its financial statements, identify risks, getting under the skin of how organizations in different industries actually work. That's a lens that very few people outside that world develop early in their careers. The second chapter was something else entirely. I joined Common Ground, later the Flexi Group, as a founding team member, a co-working startup that grew into a multinational across Southeast Asia. I was in from the beginning, involved in designing, planning, building, training, executing. I helped expand into new markets and I managed teams and communities, ran projects with complex stakeholder environments. I went from Big 4 structure to startup chaos, and I learned to operate in both. Layer on top of that, I can write and I can speak in front of a crowd without falling apart. That combination of financial literacy, operational experience across startup and corporate, cross-culture, market expansion, and communication, that's not a common bundle. That is a competitive advantage. Your turn. What's yours? Question number 2, what actually lights you up? What are you passionate about? This is the fun part, and I mean that. Give yourself permission to really enjoy this exercise. The instruction is simple. Write down everything that brings you joy when you do it. Don't filter. Don't edit. Don't talk yourself out of anything just because it doesn't seem practical. The longer the list, the better. A good way to approach it is think of what you've done repeatedly over the years, not because you had to, but because you genuinely wanted to. What do you find yourself reading about for no reason? What conversations make you lose track of time? Set a timer for 10 minutes and write everything down. Don't stop until the timer goes off. Here's my list for reference: fashion, design, interior design, architecture, cooking, and the associated eating, self-development, physical development, organization, exploration and adventure, art, photography, a good story, writing, nature, public speaking, meeting new people, learning about their lives and their craft, documentaries, business, history, technology, teaching and learning, movies, series, music. Now look at your list and look at your competitive advantage. Do any patterns start to develop? Any overlaps? That's the beginning of something. One more thing worth doing at this stage. Spend time thinking about your why, not just what you do, but why it matters to you. I found Simon Sinek's Start with Why genuinely useful here. It's a short read and it reframes how you think about purpose in a way that really sticks. After reading it, I used an AI to walk me through a series of questions to help me identify my own why. I recommend doing the same. It's a surprisingly revealing process. Question number 3. Where can you create real value and be paid for it? Here's where we get practical, and it's where a lot of people get stuck. The uncomfortable truth is that passion alone doesn't pay the bills. We all know this. But the opposite instinct, to be realistic and to abandon the passion question entirely, is equally misguided. It leads to competence without fulfillment, which is its own kind of stuck. The question to ask is, how do I make my passion useful to someone else? Here's a simple example. You're not going to get paid to watch Netflix, but you can get paid to watch Netflix and provide insight on what you watch. There are entire YouTube channels built around recapping, reviewing, and analyzing films and series with real audiences and real revenue. What those creators did was they took something they loved and they found a form in which it becomes valuable to others. That's the move. It's not always obvious, but sometimes it takes a bit of creativity to find. But it exists for almost every genuine interest. Your turn. Take the passions from your list and ask for each one, each single one. Is there a way this creates value for someone else? Is there a version of this that someone would pay for, directly or indirectly? You don't need an answer for every item. You just need one that also intersects with your competitive advantage. Here's where I landed. One item on my passion list is technology, specifically AI. My competitive advantage is in business. I understand how organizations work, how to implement change, how to communicate complex ideas clearly. The intersection of those two things pointed me somewhere very specific, helping people and businesses understand how to use AI to become more productive through consultation, implementation, training, workshops. That's the intersection I'm going to pursue. And this blog is going to be part of how I do it, documenting the journey as it happens, not once it's neatly resolved, putting it together. So here's where you should be at this point if you work through the exercises. You've got 1, a clearer picture of what you bring to the table and what is genuinely hard to replicate. Number 2, you have an honest list of what actually energizes you. And number 3, at least a first sketch of where those things might meet in a way that creates value. If the intersection isn't obvious yet, it's okay. This isn't a one-sitting exercise. It took me years of thinking, reading, talking to work through mine. The point of doing it deliberately with a framework is to shorten that timeline and make the process less passive. Keep the list somewhere you can return to. Notice what you're drawn to over the coming days. Talk to people who you know well. Sometimes they can see your intersection more clearly than you can. The answer is in there. You just have to go looking for it. This is post 1 of Blogging the Entrepreneurship Journey. The framework above is the foundation, and everything in this blog will be built on top of it. I'll be documenting what actually happens when you take this kind of self-knowledge and try to build something real with it. The good, the uncertain, the messy middle. If this resonated with you, or if you're working through these questions yourself, I'd love to hear about it. Leave a comment, and if you like this post, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in post number 2. See you guys.